Hello, and welcome to Ask Dalya Live with me, Dalya Massachi. Get your grant-related questions answered here every second and fourth Wednesday of the month at noon Pacific Time. In each session of Ask Dalya Live, I answer grant-related questions that people like you have asked me. If you would like to ask a question today, please enter it in the comment box. If you'd rather just listen, no problem, that's totally fine too. Of course, if you miss a session of Ask Dalya Live or you want to watch again, look for the recordings on the Writing for Community Success page on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Instagram, all linked below. Now, you may already know that I've been a nonprofit grant writer for almost 25 years. I'm also pleased to work with new and emerging grant writers in many different organizations as their grant writing coach. Don't forget to check out my popular on-demand 5-course track, which I co-created with TechSoup. It's conveniently called Grant Writing and Management, and it includes all the guidance and tools you'll need to get started on your way to grant success. I recently presented a free introductory webinar. All of those links appear in this video's description. I have learned my share of lessons in the grant world, and now I want to share that knowledge with you. So let's look at the questions that came in. Question number 1. In grant proposals, should I use all of the space given in the application, or is it best to keep it short instead? My suggestion is to always strive to be concise while hitting the highlights. Maximize whatever space you are given by avoiding overly formal, chatty, or repetitive language and getting to the point as quickly as you can. Make sure to include important details that you know the specific funder cares about. Keep in mind that if the application allows a lot of space to answer a question, that may mean that the funder is eager to hear from you on that topic. So don't disappoint them by answering too briefly. That can imply that you don't have much to say, and that's not a good thing. Just remember that funders receive an overwhelming number of applications. If your proposal is easy for them to skim and fully answers their questions, it will be enjoyable and informative to read. You want to leave your reader with a positive feeling. See if you can strike the right balance. Okay, question number 2. I work with a small nonprofit that has a growing endowment housed at a local foundation, and that foundation has also funded us for 15 years. Now, they have recently encouraged us to use some of our endowment to set up our own grant fund, something we were not planning to do. We also don't want to jeopardize our annual foundation grant. Do you have any advice? First, I would say that it's a great idea to have an endowment, so bravo on that one. At this point, it sounds like you need to speak with the folks at the foundation to learn about their thought process concerning your endowment. The good news is that your nonprofit has a long-time relationship with the foundation, and that means a lot. You have been community partners for several years, and you have probably cultivated a good working relationship. So go ahead and set up a meeting, or try to set up a meeting, and see if you all can figure out a good way to address all of your concerns and get the results that all of you are aiming for. Question number 3. Can grant seekers join any online groups of foundation officials? Well, you should know that funders generally do not run online groups that are open to the public. You can imagine that a group like that would be inundated with grant seekers. However, you will find many great online groups For nonprofit professionals on LinkedIn and other social networks, some of those groups include foundation representatives among their members. Also, some funders do a lot of community outreach, and they will speak at conferences or at local technical assistance centers. So there, if you can find them, you can meet them and strike up relationships. Okay, question number 4. What is the average time frame involved in getting a grant? It sounds like you are already starting to think about making a grant-seeking plan. Nice job on that. I would say the average time period between applying for a grant and actually receiving the money is about 6 to 9 months. Some funders are faster than that, and some can take up to a year. It all depends on the specific funder that you're talking about. Corporate funders tend to have quicker timelines than foundation or government funders. But again, it really varies. So you're going to have to do your research and figure out what timeline you're working with whatever funders you're thinking about. Also, many funders have tried to speed up their processes in recent years, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Don't forget, though, that you have to factor in the significant amount of work that you have to do before you actually submit a grant application. That includes things like strategizing, planning, information gathering, reviewing, and assembling the application. So all that takes time too, so don't forget about that. This is why I emphasize the importance of planning your priorities, your organization's priorities, 6 to 12 months in advance, so you can come up with a calendar that aligns with grant makers' deadlines throughout that time. Okay, question number 5. How do you communicate to others at your organization that it's not just about the number of applications that you are sending out, but it's also about the quality of the applications? This is actually a pretty common challenge, especially among folks with limited experience in grant seeking. I like to talk about grant proposals as similar to resumes, because everyone can kind of relate to that. As you know, it's not a good strategy to send out resumes scattershot, right, in the blind hope that something will stick. It's a much better use of your time to really do your homework, strategize about each opportunity, and then plan out and carefully customize each application. That's the same thing for grant proposals. Competition for grant funds is very stiff, as I'm sure you know, and the better targeted your proposal, the more likely it will get a second look. Well, that wraps up today's session of Ask Dalya Live. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget that I'm here every second and fourth Wednesday of the month at noon Pacific time. Be sure to stop by again and tell your friends and colleagues. Recordings are available on this Writing for Community Success page on Facebook. Just scroll to the video section. You can also find the recordings on my YouTube channel, along with many other grant-related videos that I've made. If you have a question for a future session of Ask Dalya Live, just fill out the form in the link below. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Google Business. The links all appear below. You can also sign up for my free newsletter for more tips and advice. Just go to my website at www.writingtomakeadifference.com. I look forward to hearing about your grant successes and answering more of your questions. Keep them coming in. My next session of Ask Dalya Live will be Wednesday, August 11th. See you then.